So this is the second class on factors. Just as a reminder, we did factor trees the other day and we talked about how the factors of 24, the prime factors of 24 could be found using a factor tree. So I can write 24 as 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And we talked about the different blocks being worth different prime numbers. So the red block's worth 2, the orange block is worth 3, the yellow block is worth 5, the green block is worth 7, the blue block is worth 11. So 24 from the previous page, the prime factorization is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So the factor pairs of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. But I want to show you how you find the factor pairs using the blocks. Okay, so let's have a go. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the factor pairs. So now what I'd like you to do is find the prime factorization of the following numbers and show me what they look like in terms of the blocks. So I want you to find the prime factorization of 28, of 66, and of 72. So this is what 28 looks like because it's 2 times 2 times 7. This is 66 because it's 2 times 3 times 11. Sorry if you can't see that 11 on the blue. And 72 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. What I like you to do now is, using the blocks, try and find all the factor pairs of these numbers. Okay, so common factors are factors that are common to 2 or more numbers. So look at example 1. If you've got the numbers 10 and 15, okay, I've listed the factors of 10 and I've listed all the factor pairs of 15. So the ones that are common, which means appears in both factor lists, are 1 and 5. Okay, so they're both common factors. There's this thing called greatest common factor, which just means the largest factor that's common to both numbers. So the largest common factor, or the greatest common factor, sometimes it's called the highest common factor, okay, in this case would be 5. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is example 2. If I've got 3 numbers and I want to try and find, first of all, the common factors, I've got to list the factors of 12, so that's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. The factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. The factors of 60 are 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and 6 and 10. So the common factors, well, 1 is a common factor of every 2 numbers, any 2 numbers. 2 is a common factor because all the numbers are even. Okay. Looking here, 4 is a common factor as well. I think that's all the common factors. So the highest, or the greatest common factor would be 4. Now the beauty is that this is exactly the same question. So I've got 12 up here, which is 2 and 2 and 3, and I've got 2, 2, and this is 7, which was 28, and I've got 2 times 2 times 3 times 5, which is 60 here. Okay, so if I've got it as blocks, then I can just see what's the same, or what can I take out of each of these 3 things. So 1, 2, 3. And the thing that they all have in common, okay, is 2 red blocks. Right, you guys can see that, can't you? Okay, and 2 red blocks is 2 and 2. So the greatest common factor is 4. So if you use blocks, it just becomes super visual. You just see what's the same in both things and take out those blocks. So this is where the power of visuals really comes into effect. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to work out what these numbers are. Okay, just think and try and work out what they are. You can use a calculator. Alright then, so this is 2 and this is 2 and this is 3 and this is 5 and this is 7. So I think that's a pretty big number, isn't it? I think this is 420. Okay, I could be wrong. You guys can check. But I think 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 7 is 42, and 2 times 5 is 10, so it's 42 times 10, which is 420. This is 2, this is 5, this is 5, and this is 11. Okay, so this number is 555. Now, if we wanted to find the greatest common factor, we would not list out all the factors in factor pairs, because that would just take ages. Now, hopefully what you guys can do is look at which blocks are in both numbers. So the top number has a green block and the bottom number doesn't, so there's no green in common. Bottom number has a blue block, but the top number doesn't, so it doesn't have that in common. They both have 1 yellow in common, so you can take that out, and they both have 1 red in common that you can take out. So I think the greatest common factor of these two numbers, greatest common factor, would be 10. Do you guys get that? Okay, so now I would like you to do the following. If I just write down 2 numbers, so 1200 and I don't know, 480. Can you find the greatest common factor of these 2 numbers by first of all finding the prime factorization using blocks, and then just pick out which blocks are common in both arrangements? Okay, so up until this stage, hopefully you've been like, oh, rolling your eyes, and we've done this, but the blocks are new and it's kind of cool to find greatest common factors with blocks. Now the fun and games really start, because we're going to introduce a purple block which we haven't used before, and this purple block equals X, baby. So we're now going to have a lot of fun with this. Okay, so I want to give you a couple of, well, about a minute to work out what each of these pictures represents. Okay, I'm not sure if the purple is coming out, but here this is the top one is a red and a purple, the middle one is a red, orange and purple, and the bottom one is a yellow and a purple and then a purple. So think about what each of those are. Now talk to the person sat next to you about what you think they are and see if you agree. Brilliant. So this one you should have decided was 2x. This one you should have decided that this is a 2 and a 3 and an x. So it's 6x. And this is 5 and an x and an x. So this is 5x squared. Did you all get that? Okay, so this is what I'd like you to do for the rest of the lesson. Each of these things represent an expression, okay? What I want you to do is I want you to work out what each term is, okay? And I want you to work out the factors of each term, and then I want you to work out the greatest common factor of the 3 terms. And that's a lot of work, and I suggest that you work in pairs to do it.